ladies and gentlemen, we are back here for another episode of Steel City Renegades. We are still in the quarterback saga, waiting
on the prima donna.
Well, Aaron's not a prima donna. We'll get into that here in a few minutes.
So
Chipper's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Glad to be back. Missed you guys, and apparently I got called out on something that we will get into. So
yeah, absolutely. And your ridiculous trade that you sent in the chat. So we'll bring in our good friend D's.
I'm already yelling at you, and my fucking mic is muted.
D's shirt is ridiculous.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, D's? How was your week so far?
No. Talk about the sleeves.
I'm still 6 feet above, so I guess it wasn't too bad. You know, it's funny. Other than wintertime, like when it. What's that?
Go ahead.
Chipper's phone was on. It's okay.
Once it's like above 50 degrees, you won't find me in sleeves unless I'm going somewhere nice. Like I
feel the same way.
I don't know. I think I get it from my dad.
Do you actually have the pythons to show those off like that?
I mean, they're not bad for 50.
At least you don't have the hanging.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some of that too. But
all right, guys. So let's get into it. We are still waiting on this quarterback saga with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of people thought that, and Dee's brought it up in the chat, that he was going to go and make his announcement on the big night at Pat McAfee show.
No.
Oh,
I said there was zero fucking chance that he was doing.
No. I know you said that. Show. I said people were saying that. I said these had sent it in the chat.
Oh, okay, got you.
We got a chat between the amongst of us. We're always messing with each other in the chat and giving these ridiculous ideas. And Chipper's got one that we're going to talk about.
Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback is the most ridiculous idea.
Oh, don't get D started from last week. The numbers and the stats prove that he's the best option at quarterback right now for us moving forward.
Because there's nobody left.
There's nobody left.
There's nobody left.
Even before.
Okay.
But anyway, so
I mean, I don't trust. I don't trust paying Sam Darnold $35 million.
We could have got Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick.
You would have took Geno Smith on the Steelers team?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Over AR? Yes.
No.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Just saying, better than AR for just 1 year. You'd have Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick.
But it wouldn't have been for 1 year. You're not getting. There's no shot that Geno is going to accept that and then only take a 1-year deal.
No.
Like
No.
We're on paper, sure.
No, we're going to end up with the prima donna for 1 year.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
If he goes more than 1 year, that's going to be the most stupidest move that the Steelers have made.
I don't think so on that.
Let me ask you a legit question.
But I'm saying we could have Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick, and then Seattle ended up signing him for I don't know how many or
$50 million a year.
Not Seattle, the Raiders.
$50 million a year.
$50 million a year. We could have signed him extended him for another 2 or 3 years, either drafted a quarterback this year or next year, and then be done with it.
They're still going to draft a quarterback
right
this year.
Now. We're stuck waiting on this prima donna asshole AR to make up his fucking mind what he's going to want to do. And what happens if he comes out and says, I'm going to retire? Well, now we're totally screwed.
No, I don't think so. Go ahead.
We're right where we were before. Like this delay is absolutely killing me. I don't know if I'm delayed for you guys, but you guys are. Remember how I told you it was last week, Dave? It was literally like 5 seconds.
Yeah. It's not on our end. I think you're down. Go back out and try to come back in real quick, please.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. So Chipper, you're saying that he's a prima donna. That's your opinion. Let me ask you this question, though. There are options that are still out there at quarterback. I know you want to draft a quarterback. I know your thoughts are going back to
there were so many options before waiting on this asshole.
But don't you think that they have it? What's up, G3? Don't you think that they have a plan in place if they don't have Aaron Rodgers? Especially now, see, Derek Carr's hurt now, right? So now that's going to shake up the draft big time. And one of my things
That's
is
where Shador is going to end up going. We're
I
not
don't-
going to have a shot in hell at Shador, even though I'm not a big fan of Shador.
okay. So we'll get into that. I don't think Shador's going there. I think they're going to draft Dart. That's what I think they're going to do. I think he's going to be overdrafted, and he's going to go there, and he's going to learn from Derek Carr over there in
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Nolans.
Geez, any better?
Yes, much better. All right. Now listen here. Let's start with this prima donna bullshit. All right.
Please.
A prima donna, look, a prima donna is somebody that's, look at me. Hey, give me a camera. Give me a microphone. Let me talk to you. When has Aaron Rodgers ever fucking done that other than Pat McAfee, who is only on there because his best friend AJ Hawk is there? When has Aaron Rodgers ever been a media, like, look at me. He's the most private fucking NFL player probably in the history of the league. That's not he's a private person. That's not a prima donna.
And what do you call what he's done over the last 2 or 3 seasons by making teams wait for him to figure out what the team is going to do?
I mean, he's played this game for 18 years and he's like at the end of his career. So fuck him for, taking his time deciding where he wants to play football for the last time in his life. Now, he didn't really take his time with the Jets. He was traded. Then he got hurt. He immediately said he was coming back. Took an experimental surgery to try and come back and help the team make the playoffs, which tells me he's a pretty fucking good team guy. Didn't work out because the Jets sucked. Now, yes, this year isn't showing him in the best of light, but to call him a prima donna is absolutely ridiculous. Terrell Owens was a fucking prima donna. Chad Johnson was a prima donna. Aaron's not that. He's a hippie liberal douche. I'll give you that much, but he's still a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion quarterback who, as stats showed last year, can still sling the ball.
Are you okay? Now, when you look at his numbers for last year, now I'm going to rebut that by saying,
George, that's bullshit. He is not a diva in any way, shape, or form. I watch the show every fucking week. They just sit there and shoot the shit. There is nothing diva about what Aaron says on that show. Period. Sorry, go ahead, Chipper.
But now, what I will say is this is not all on AR's fault.
No, this is like 90% Pittsburgh for putting up with it, for one.
The Steelers front office, management, ownership, it's a total embarrassment with doing it this way.
I will 100% agree with you there.
You should have set him a fucking deadline so you knew what you were doing if he decided, if he didn't or did decide to make up his mind.
Yeah.
If 3 weeks you set him a deadline, say, I don't know, Valentine's Day. I'm just throwing a date out there just for the hell of it. Valentine's Day. If you don't give an answer by then, the offer's off the table. We're going to pursue other avenues. Let him decide if there's another team that actually wants him or if he's going to retire.
I agree with that. And supposedly there is a soft deadline of April 21st. Now, whether or not Pittsburgh sticks with that remains to be seen. But I am still 100% behind my opinion that once Justin Fields was off the table, who we have now since found out that Justin took himself off the table, that the money was not really the issue. It was, Pittsburgh wouldn't say, yes, you're our number one guy, whereas the Jets did. But once he was off the table, of what was left, as far as starting quarterbacks, like I said last week, if there's any part of you that wants even the smallest glimmer of hope that we could contend for a Super Bowl, there's one fucking quarterback that you get on this team, and it's Aaron Rodgers. It isn't Sam Darnold. It isn't Mason Rudolph. It isn't fucking Russ Wilson. It was Aaron Rodgers. The guy knows how to win. He's got arm talent. He'll be surrounded by really good talent. Offensive line still a little shaky. Defense, we hope, has a bounce back year. But as far as pure quarterback play, there was nobody available. Sam Darnold, I'm not convinced. I'm sorry. One season where he absolutely tanked in the 2 most important games of the year. I'm not paying Sam Darnold $35 million. It's just not happening. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. They should have been a little harder on him at the beginning. Like, look, we need an answer like before April so we can start strategizing. Now, I think that they definitely have two fucking whiteboards in the war room. They've got a if Aaron signs, if Aaron doesn't sign, as far as what they're going to do in the draft. So I don't think that they're just going to go in there blind if Aaron comes up on, draft night and says, I'm going to retire. I think they've already got that contingency set up. Whether or not it works out in our favor remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you want any chance of winning a Super Bowl, which again, I realize long shot, but stranger things have happened. Trent Dilfer won a fucking Super Bowl. All right. So it can be done. Our defense can return to form. If DK and George can get on the same page and Aaron can hit the middle with Freiermuth and our running game doesn't suck, it's possible. That's all I'm saying. With anybody besides him, with Russell Wilson, with Mason Rudolph, with any of the other quarterbacks out there, I'm not so convinced. I am intrigued by Mason with talent around him more so than he had, in his first run.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I still believe that Aaron gives us the best opportunity to win this year and groom whoever it may be, whether it's Mason or one of the, we're drafting a rookie, whether we like it or not. It's just a matter of who and when.
The problem that I have is AR is basically giving us another Ben Roethlisberger in his last year or two, where like we talked about off air, he has a quick release. He'll get rid of the ball quick. But you also mentioned, play action. As of right now, if you're an opposing defense, are you really worried about the ball being handed off to Jalen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell?
No.
Okay. So
no. I mean, I like Jalen hits the hole hard, and it depends. Gainwell, I think when it's all said and done, I think Gainwell is going to replace Cordero Patterson. I don't think Cordero Patterson is on the roster much past the draft. It all depends on who falls to us. I think that's been the plan since the season ended.
So my point is, you brought up AR and play action, just like Ben kind of relied on play action, but when Ben was here, at least he had a good running back where all defenses were worried about the running game. Right now, you're looking like another rebirth of Ben in his last 2 years in AR for at least 1 year. Granted, he, as of right now, has DK Metcalf and George Pickens to throw to, but and the offensive line, like you mentioned, is suspect as of right now. But are you really worried about Jalen Warren? If you're a defense, are you worried about Kenneth Gainwell or Jalen Warren? Were you worried about the play action?
Well, I hate trying to compare Aaron right now to the way Ben was, because let's be honest, Ben was not Ben since 2020. Ben had a noodle for an arm and still does. Like, he had to throw quick, not only because the offensive line was severely lacking, but he just didn't have the arm. He was good for one or two chuckets, a game. And the elbow was just shot. Aaron still has zip on his fastball. He ain't throwing, 99 and painting the corners like he used to,
right.
But he's, and rollouts and everything. I think he's probably more mobile than Ben was at the end of his career, because Ben was just kind of a lumbering, big son of a bitch his last couple of years with the noodle arm. I think that I just think Aaron's going to be a better solution than Ben was his last couple of years, or any other quarterback could have been this year. It all hinges on the offensive line play, the running game, everything. Like, Aaron can't throw touchdowns if he's on his back. Now, the good thing is I think Aaron will get rid of the ball quicker than Russ, and I think we'll see more of Jalen and Gainwell and Freiermuth and Calvin Austin in space in the middle of the field. And who knows? I mean, again, I just think he's the best option for what he had. I hate that it's come to this, but you guys remember when, we weren't even wiped all the tears away from the fucking playoff loss. And I said, my two quarterbacks, Justin Fields, and if not Justin, give me Aaron Rodgers. And you guys laughed at me. And here we are.
I mean, you're right. You're right, Deez. And getting back on the Aaron Rodgers topic, we talked about it last week about his stats, and he's still coming back from an injury. It takes a year to get back to full form with that, and that's what I mean. I'm good with him for a year, like Chipper says. If you do get him, or like you said, for a year, I mean, see what he's got. Prove it. You got two good weapons as of right now. If we were to field right now, you got two good weapons up to this point. But Chipper brought up something in the chat with Pickens being traded. Listen, I know we keep talking about Pickens being traded, and I brought this up last week, and Chipper didn't get an opportunity to watch the show. The only way I'm trading George this year is if I'm getting back into the second round in a top 10 second round pick. That's all I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for a third. I'm not doing it for a fourth, and I'm not doing it for a fifth. If you want George Pickens, here's our asking price. 33 through 43 in the second round, that's what we're getting for George. If you're not going to give us that, then we're not interested. Roll with it for 1 year with him and DK. See how it plays out, whether it's Mason the quarterback, whether it's Aaron Rodgers the quarterback, or whoever's the quarterback. I'm okay with that combination. Chipper's harping on getting rid of George Pickens. My question to you, Chipper, is why get rid of George Pickens if he's been your most consistent wide receiver over the last 3 years?
Because he's the only consistent good receiver we've had.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Okay, so why get rid of George when he's been your only consistent wide receiver that we've had for the last 3 years? He's put up numbers, and we know that he's a freaky talent on the field. Off the field, we've seen his issues. We've seen some of his issues on the field where he's not running routes or, I say all the time, get him the football. If you want to win football games, you get playmakers, the football. Did he run a couple wrong routes? Probably, but it happens to the best of them in the NFL. My question to you is, why do you want to get rid of George Pickens so bad with DK Metcalf? And you talk about defenses looking across to offenses, and you say, oh, well, they don't have a running back. They don't have a quarterback. You look at George Pickens and you look at DK Metcalf. Who's defending that? If you got a guy that can throw them the football, who is defending that? So answer the question. Why are you wanting to get rid of George Pickens so bad?
There are at least 3 reasons I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, start with your third reason. Then we'll go
third reason?
The third reason. Then I want your number one.
The third reason is because he is a head case on the sidelines and on the field. You don't know which George Pickens you're going to get.
That's not a good enough answer for me.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's your opinion. Go ahead.
Second reason is DK Metcalf and George Pickens are essentially the same wide receiver. So you have a redundant of wide receiver position right now. They're both deep ball threats. Neither one of them, especially GP, has proven that he's willing to go across the middle or doing any kind of other pass patterns other than going deep, catching a long ball or whatnot. He hasn't proven that he's willing to go across the middle.
Okay, so that right there, has he had a quarterback that can get him the ball across the middle? Yes or no? Has he had a quarterback, or
his first year with Pickett?
He had a quarterback that can get the ball across the middle?
Pickett was throwing it across the middle.
Okay, and how many touchdowns did he have? He had 2 game winners that season, right? Pickett did.
He had a total of 5 in his rookie year? I don't remember. I honestly
he had 2 game winners that year. He had the one against across the middle in the end zone. I'm just saying, go ahead. What's your number one reason?
My number one reason is the Steelers will not pay him both the same kind of money.
Okay, that may be the
and if they were going to sign George Pickens to extension, they should have done it already. Kind of like how they fucked up this whole TJ Watt situation. You're not going to pay DK Metcalf what he's making, $30 million a year. Is that what he's making?
50 million. No, 30 million.
30 million a year.
30.
And then you're going to turn around and pay George Pickens essentially the same kind of money that I'm pretty sure he's going to want. I don't see them doing it. Don't see him doing it.
You're probably right, but if I could be devil's advocate here, there is one thing working in our favor. After this year, let's just say Aaron, does sign. It's probably a 1 year, most likely. Well, the offer is a 1 year deal. I don't see that changing.
Right.
But then we're going to have a rookie.
Yep.
So that means a rookie contract, which means there's a lot of money out there. So I'm not going to say it's impossible that they sign George. I do tend to fall in line with you. I think it's very, very improbable. I think what they're saying right now about, we want both guys. I think that's lip service. But to Dave's point, That's not happening because they're not going to find out what's going on with George until training camp and he performs his hold in. And one of two things is going to happen. They're going to trade him for a pick next year, or they're going to pay him and somehow make him happy. Even if they were like, look, all right, we'll give you a significant raise for 1 year, but you got to prove you can behave. I don't think they signed him to a long-term deal this year. It's all a matter of who's going to break, but I'm gun to my head. I think he's traded before the end of August.
No, he was picked. He wasn't picked in the first round, so he's only good for a 4-year deal, right? He doesn't have that 5th-year option, correct?
Yes, correct.
So now, I mentioned in the chat, I'm not a salary guru or I know anything how it works. Can you franchise him after the 4th year or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be an unrestricted free agent because there's no option year. So yeah, they can definitely tag him.
Okay.
But the question, I mean, will he show up? That's the thing. It's like, look, I think George Pickens has all the talent in the world. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
But he's clearly not matured the way that we had all hoped. And yeah, I get,
But Deez, let me ask you this question. We talk about George all the time and his maturity. Has there really been anybody in the Steelers locker room on the offensive side who can mentor this kid and get his head straight? I mean, they haven't had a veteran.
He's never had. No, he's never had. So
there is no true leader. And I mean, Russ did okay with him. I think he's got a good relationship with Mason as well. But for somebody to actually get through to him and all of a sudden the light switch comes on and he becomes the consummate pro, I just don't see it happening. He was, how to say, volatile in Georgia, getting in fights and things like that. I just think that's who George Pickens is. And I love that he's got that dog in him, but at the other end of the spectrum, it does not translate well in a team environment. And I just don't think it's gonna work out. I don't see him getting traded before the draft to get something for him this year, but I definitely see them going for a next year's pick, which could in turn benefit us if we don't find the quarterback this year that we want. That just adds to that giant package of picks that we're going to have next year to move up and really make some noise potentially at the QB position.
Yeah, I read another. I totally forgot that come next year. I read an article that we're gonna have our own picks as well as a boatload of compensatory picks to
extra thirds and fourths. With if Russ performs well, we'll have like 3 third-round picks.
Yeah.
So we'll have the capital to move significantly in next year's draft if we so choose.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Okay. So us not having a second-round draft pick, you don't think they try to make a trade to move back into the second round, even though they were stockpiled next year? And then the only person that there are only 2 people you could possibly trade to get back into the second round. TJ Watt, I don't think that's going to happen with the Steelers. I think they're going to re-sign him, or Pickens. If you're looking at it, who would you rather get rid of? Pickens. So in my thoughts, if you're going to get rid of Pickens this year and you want to be done with them, like I said, Deez, and we both agreed on this last week on the show, you need to have a top 10 second-round draft pick for him.
True. The problem is there are 31 GMs out there who watch and listen to all of this shit too, and they know damn well that George Pickens is going to be a problem and that we are going to probably come to a point where we don't have much choice. So you know what I'm going to do if I'm one of those 31 GMs? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until George becomes too big of a problem, and then you have to unload him. And then you unload him for next year's second at best, or this year, third or fourth. Like it's a buyer's market.
But you don't think that there isn't one team in the top 10 and in the second round, say New England, that
that's exactly
wouldn't be willing to trade you their second round pick this year to have that stud receiver?
Do you think Mike Vrabel is going to go after a guy that has shown he's a little bit of a head case?
He fucking got Stephon Diggs, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Stephon Diggs has a long history of performing, and he isn't quite the distraction that I think George potentially can be. Look how quickly Vrabel let them get rid of A.J. Brown when he started barking in Tennessee. I'm not saying that there's not a team out there, but your example, New England, fuck it. I just don't see it happening.
Well, I just think that because of what I've heard and read about this year's wide receiver class, if we're able to get back into the second round anywhere in the second round, that we can get a good wide receiver. Now,
Yeah.
Dave brought up 33 to 43. Okay, fine. If there's somebody that will do it, but I'd be happy with just getting back in the second round period because the wide receiver class in this year's draft is so loaded.
You're right on that, Chipper. But my thing is, like, I think that Omar and them are trying to make up for this quarterback situation and put a winning product on the field moving forward. Whether you get Aaron and you draft a quarterback, and Khan is not just sitting on his hands. I think he's got another deal in place if he doesn't get Rodgers. I think there's another deal in place. I don't know
what kind. I mean, for what position?
Maybe a quarterback, maybe trade George, get back in the second round. I don't know. Them are two things. I mean,
is he hoping that Jackson Dart falls in our lap at 21?
If Jackson Dart is still available in the 15 picks, Steelers are going to move up and get a quarterback. That's my opinion. They'll move up and get. If it's Dart, they will move up and get him. If they're sitting at if 15's open and Dart is not picked yet, the Steelers are going to move up and they're going to draft Dart. Watch.
Well, I've seen them drafting. Well, I mean, the Shedeur thing is a mess to begin with. You can see him going anywhere from 3rd down to 21. But I've also seen mock drafts that have us taking Dart at 21. I've also seen us taking that quarterback out of Louisville with Shook.
There's no shot that he can't go in the first. I just don't see it.
Which one, Dees?
Shock.
Oh, okay, Shock.
And Derek Carr's injury really kind of throws a monkey into the wrench because now that puts New Orleans in the quarterback market this year.
Yep.
I mean, they could draft Dart. They could draft Dart at 9.
They could draft Shedeur at 9.
You're right, but I don't think he's going to go there. I really don't.
See, I've been going back and forth between Shedeur and Dart. Now, as far as pure ability and upside, I like Dart, but as far as NFL ready and somebody who is going to understand how the NFL works, it's Sanders. There's probably, unless his last name is Manning, not been a quarterback more not necessarily ready, but like what's the word? I'm prepared to be in the NFL than Shedeur Sanders. Like, I mean, mentally, I just think that, like, say what you want about Dion. Dion is a great coach, a great mentor. And if there's a couple of guys who are ready for how the NFL is, it's Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Now, I don't know if that's going to translate to on the field play, but as far as mental, I think Shedeur is the top of the top when it comes to the quarterbacks.
Well, I guess it all comes down to Kellen Moore now being the new first-year head coach in New Orleans. Which quarterback would most fit his style of offense? I mean, would it be Shedeur or would it be Jackson Dart?
I would say Dart with it being Kellen Moore. I really would.
I mean, Kellen Moore hasn't necessarily had a running quarterback or whatever, but which quarterback fits his style of offense? I mean, he's had Dak Prescott. He's had
you guys may think I'm
crazy. Who was Kellen Moore? Was what, Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philadelphia.
So he had Jalen
Hurts.
Thank you. Hurts, I was thinking Millwall for some stupid reason.
Yeah, as long as we stay away from Millwall. But anyway, you guys are going to think I'm crazy when this name comes up, and I mentioned it before on this show. Keep an eye on Brock Purdy. That's all I got to say. Keep an eye on Brock Purdy.
No.
Listen, I know that you guys say no, but keep an eye on him. I think that there's...
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him as long as he keeps his ass in fucking San Francisco or far, far away from Pittsburgh, because I don't want any part of Brock Purdy.
Why don't you want any part of Brock Purdy?
I just don't.
I think he's a product of Kyle Shanahan offense is what I think.
Yes. Kyle Shanahan mixed with CMC and a healthy Ayuk, a healthy Debo, a healthy Kittle. Yeah, I don't want Brock Purdy unless you get him for pennies on the dollar, and that's not going to happen. He's going to be in the neighborhood of 40 to 50 million, and I will fucking kill somebody if we get Brock Purdy and pay him that much.
Well, I mean,
just don't kill the Amazon driver.
He's first.
Well, I mean, shit. I mean, Dave, if you're looking to spend that kind of money on Brock Purdy and DJ Watt's going to want more money than Myles Garrett, now you're looking to spend $30 million on George Pickens. Jesus, the Steelers must have a shitload of money to spend around.
Well,
if that's what you're going to want to do, then
the new TV contract comes into play next year, so there's going to be another $30 million that is going to be given
potentially
$30 million to the teams.
We got freaking Jerry Jones sitting across from me, for crying out loud. I want to spend all this money.
Listen, I'm just trying to get us a good quarterback who's still pretty young. Brock Purdy's 25 years old. Again, I'm okay with Aaron for 1 year. Mason is his backup. Go draft a quarterback. If we're drafting a quarterback, listen, I don't know if you guys watched the John Gruden quarterback interviews that he's doing.
No.
Listen, go get me, and I hate to say this, go get me not Will Howard. I want Will Howard. Him or Kyle McCord is who I want as our third string quarterback to learn. That's who I want.
I would definitely take Will Howard. Kyle McCord.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Kyle McCord's got a nice arm, but he played at Syracuse, and that conference or whatever isn't exactly.
Yeah, weak competition. You know, that's at least Will Howard faced very, very tough defenses.
And it looked damn good in the playoffs.
Yeah, Shedeur Sanders played some pretty solid defenses. I mean, fucking Jackson Dart played some amazing defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I like about Dart, and I've sold myself more and more on him, is if you go back and you watch his career, he's gotten better every year. You know, even if you don't like him at 21 or 15 or whatever the case may be, the potential is there. Like, if you look at him, he's not a guy he's not Kenny Pickett, who was shit, one good year. Oh, let's draft him at 20. Jackson Dart has progressively gotten better every single year. Now, granted, he probably benefited heavily from the system that old dickhead had installed at Ole Miss. But the fact that he has improved on himself every year gives me hope that maybe he is going to be a guy.
I mean, I agree with you. I've been hearing a lot of people, the upside of Jackson Dart. John Gruden said it. I wouldn't be opposed to taking him at 21, but then we need a running back. Can we get that in a later round? We need another wide receiver, like Chipper would say, another offensive lineman. Maybe you can fulfill that still in some free agency or get a camp body. Maybe I heard Zach Banner. I know he's just coming back to football, playing in a UFL. Maybe you give him as a depth guy to help you out on the offensive line, or draft somebody later in the rounds. But I'm okay with Dart at 21. If that's who they really want, and that's who they got all the eggs in the basket for, or if Shedeur falls to 21, I'm taking him.
If we're taking a quarterback at 21, then we are definitely not taking running back in the third round. That's where we want to try to get the best defensive lineman available, because that's what we need to start worrying about, because Cam's not getting any younger. And we don't have much as far as defensive lineman goes because, well, to be honest, our run defense has sucked the last couple of years. So we need to start filling up defensive linemen.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's another reason why I want Aaron, because then you're not desperate for a quarterback if Aaron doesn't sign. So you're not going to reach at 21 or trade up to 15, whatever the case may be. You can kind of wait and see if Shook or Will Howard or somebody is there in the later rounds, and you can then go after the kid from Michigan, Grant.
Yep.
Or the kid from Ole Miss is another good one, Nolan.
Yep.
So that's again a bonus of Aaron. And when we're talking divas of the quarterback class this year, when I look at who's out there, Jackson Dart looks like he has potential to be a giant douchebag. If he comes in and does well, I could see him just being one of those guys that everybody fucking hates.
Really? What, because of video? What have you seen on social media and stuff, or what?
Yeah, it's just it's one of those like public perception things. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll click, but of the class that's there now, like as far as just attitude and the stuff that you see on the field, he's the one that looks like he could be the most problematic. You know, I don't think Sanders is going to be that. Granted, it comes with a media circus because of who his dad is, but I think he's pretty humble, and I think he'll handle it well because of who his dad is. I think Will Howard carries himself very, very well.
Yep.
Tyler Shook is an old man, so he's, you know, got a maturity level. But yeah, Dart's a wild card, I think, in every facet.
Yeah. Shook is another Brett and Whedon. He's like 28 years old, coming out of college, and
25, but it's still old for a college quarterback.
Right. Hey, so
right.
we got 20 minutes left of the show, and I'm thinking this topic is going to maybe take up the rest of the show. So Dave brought it up earlier about the scenarios that I brought up in the messenger.
Oh, man.
So, and again, I'm not a salary guru or whatever. And as I put in the messenger, would you rather trade TJ and George Pickens and get 2 second-round picks, trade Minka and pay TJ, or keep Minka and just pay TJ the $41 million he's going to want? Now, the reason why I brought up the whole TJ thing is because he's going on 30 years old. If you're going to extend him and pay him the $41 million, and let's face it, the last year he didn't have a great year. The year before he was up for defensive player. I forget if he even won it, but anyways. So the reason I brought up trading TJ and George Pickens to get 2 second-round picks is because do you want to pay TJ the $41 million a year and get a second-round pick for him? Because one of the pundits said you can only get a third for him, which I think is total bullshit. Only a third-round pick for TJ Watt it's absurd. So I just threw out a second-round pick. This way we can recoup the second-round pick with George Pickens and TJ, and maybe draft somebody to get in the second round, and maybe even trade into the first round, back into the first round to get. Let's say we don't trade. Let's say we take Grant at 21. If we were to trade one of those second round picks and something else to get back into the first round and take Dart at 32, whatever, then fine. Now, the other scenario was trading Minka, because let's face it, Minka hasn't been Minka the last at least 2 seasons.
That's coaching.
And he's making a boatload of money. And then taking that money and paying TJ, or just flat out paying TJ to flat $41 million he's going to want. But, you know, again, he hasn't had great seasons, but we've wasted his prime time with us. And it doesn't look like our future is going to get any better as far as the Super Bowl playoff run, let alone Super Bowl goes, while he's still kind of sort of in his prime.
All right, let's start with the TJ trade thing. First off, and the bad season. Everybody except for a few idiot voters that got swayed last year agrees that TJ Watt should have won Defensive Player of the Year over Myles Garrett the year before this past one. Like, that's a fact. Like, he had a better season. This year, TJ Watt was...
You're talking about 23, right?
Yes.
23. Yep.
This past season, TJ Watt was actually the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year up until like week 8 or 9. And then, yeah, he fell off significantly. But you know what else fell off significantly over the course of the last 5-6 weeks of our team? Our fucking offense, which means our defense was on the field all the fucking time.
Yep.
Now, this season, this offseason, Myles Garrett, with the whole trade deadline, what did we hear every day for a couple weeks? Oh, it's going to take 3 firsts.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Myles Garrett is 1 fucking year younger than TJ Watt. And if this team even fields a call from some asshole offering a 2nd-round pick, they all deserve to be fucking fired and set fire to the fucking facility.
Well, again, I just reiterated. Let me just reiterate. The only reason why I brought up a single round, 2nd-round pick is because some dumbass pundit that was on one of the local radio stations said,
I'd like to know his name, because I would probably call him every fucking day and call him a goddamn idiot.
Tom Pelissaro It's either Tom or Steve Pelissaro. He was
Tom
on.
Pelissaro.
Tom Pelissaro. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
He said he can only see him being worth just a single third-round pick. When I heard that, I was floored.
No, yeah, sure. TJ had a really rough end of the year, 163 plays without a stat, blah, blah, blah. But he's on the field all the fucking time. We now know that he was playing with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look statistically over the last 5 years, TJ Watt is better than Myles Garrett in almost every category. And he's only 1 year older.
You better watch what you say with that, man, because you're going to piss off a lot of people, a lot of fans that play or that root for that team that play in the HBF Stadium.
Oh, well, you're right. You're right. Let me humbly say, go fuck yourself, because TJ Watt is better in every form and facet of defensive football. Has been since he came in the league.
I don't disagree with you, but that is a huge argument.
Those fans of the team that play at HBF will say, "Well, Myles Garrett moves around. He doesn't stay at the one position, so on and so forth."
Yeah, he moves around to the weakest link. TJ kicks the strongest link's ass week after week. Granted, didn't have a bad year, but does TJ Watt deserve 40 to 41 million? You're fucking A right, he does. Okay. And if we put an offense on the field that can actually stay on the field for more than fucking 4 plays,
amen,
we might see TJ actually record some stats down the stretch.
Amen.
And I agree with you 1,000% on that. And it's appalling that people, when Chipper sent that, I kind of went off on Chipper, but I mean, I'm like, there is no way if you're going to trade Myles Garrett for 3 first-round draft picks, if that's what it was, that you're not going to get at least 2 first rounds for TJ Watt. And if you think about trading Watt, you're a fucking moron. You're a moron.
You know, a week ago, we were dealing with all these people, sorry, Chipper, that were saying, well, if Aaron Rodgers is signed, I'm not watching this team. Fine, get on a boat, go out in the ocean, and we'll fucking fire cannonballs at it. But now we need a bigger boat, because now I'm seeing all these motherfuckers that are posting after TJ's piece signed, like, oh, just get rid of him, get rid of him. Go fuck yourself. TJ Watt is still one of the best defensive players in the NFL and deserves to be paid as much. Now, back to Minkah Fitzpatrick. No, he's not producing. He's not producing. He's not producing. Watch the tape. Watch where Minkah Fitzpatrick has to line up, because Mike Tomlin doesn't trust the rest of his team. He's fucking 30 yards off the ball almost every play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course he's not going to make any plays, because Mike Tomlin does what? He lives in his fucking fears. You know, that's why I'm kind of excited about Darius Slay, as long as he doesn't just completely fall off the cliff, because if Mike Tomlin allows it, and he's got Darius Slay and Joey Porter continues to grow into a shutdown corner, just like his mentor Ike Taylor was, then Minkah can move up and play in the box and become a playmaker again.
Ike Taylor, dude, you are not comparing Darius Slay to Ike Taylor.
No, I'm not. I'm comparing Joey Porter Jr. to Ike Taylor. And you shut your whore mouth when you're talking about Ike Taylor.
The only thing that they have in common is their number. Ike Taylor is the worst cornerback.
Now you're showing your ass. Okay, you're talking about a team that had Dwayne Woodruff and Dwayne Washington and Chad Scott. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Rest in peace to Demarius Thomas, but he's still running.
I mean,
one play. He gave up one play.
I mean, as far as Joey Porter finally having a mentor, I
think it's good for him. I think they brought Patrick Peterson in for that. That didn't work.
Didn't work for this shit.
But Peterson, like, the fall off was there with Peterson before we signed him. Like, when we signed him, we're like, all right, cool, locker room mentor, maybe he can recapture it. Darius Slay still plays at a very high level. And I think he can give us a good 1, maybe 2 years, depending on how this goes. But I think the biggest benefactor of this signing of Darius Slay is going to be Joey Porter Jr. Play physical, but not too physical.
The only thing that goes back to the thing I said before is, was Darius Slay's play based on his skill level, or was it based on Philadelphia's defense?
I mean,
Darius Slay's been doing that. I mean, when he played for a really shitty Detroit team.
Yeah.
The skill is there. Now, I think as he's gotten older, being around other defensive playmakers has helped him for sure. But we've got defensive playmakers. We just got to have them all making plays at the same time. And I think with him there, that allows Minka, and now with Deshaun Elliott a year under his belt with Minka, I think our secondary is going to be vastly improved. And whether you like it or not, I think Corey Trice takes a big step up this year as well.
Really hoping he does, because they've kept him on the roster all this time, and he's got.
Long as we don't keep Chipper's boy Cam Sutton, I'm good.
Oh, your boy Cam Sutton?
No, he's gone.
I know they re-signed Deeze's other boy, the opposite number of Ike Taylor, 42, James Pierre.
He dropped a pass, but he's still a solid special teamer, and as a fourth or fifth corner, which is where he actually slots in,
for eighth, or maybe in a practice squad, so he doesn't see any snaps in the NFL. Please,
and that may very well happen. I mean, depending on who's all there, I don't see Pierre, unless there's a multitude of injuries. I don't see Pierre being on the field a whole lot other than special teams.
Please keep him off. Just keep him off the field. I don't need him anywhere near the ball. I don't need him covering any wide receivers. He can hold the helmet or bring the water out to them guys. That's all he can do. I don't need him on the field at all.
I agree.
Ike Taylor still has skills. You can bring him back and get rid of Cam Sutton.
You keep both of them as far away from the team as you can.
You sure you don't want Ike Taylor back?
I do not want Ike Taylor back. I did not want him when he was here.
Anyway, back to TJ Watt. No shot that I am even considering a second round pick, and I'm absolutely. I mean, I'm going to try to sign him for as close to, if not a little less, because let Cleveland make their own mistakes with Myles Garrett. If I can get TJ at 35 to 38 million, I do, but I don't know that TJ is going to do that. And I don't disagree with him.
With the rivalry that he and Myles Garrett have going on, do you really think he's going to take less money than Myles Garrett?
No, probably not. Honestly, probably not. I mean, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with giving him, a backloaded deal that you can get out of after 3-4 years, and give him the 41 million. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be 41 million. It's just, I think the guaranteed money is where it's going to fall into.
Well, isn't all Myles Garrett's money guaranteed?
Was it fully?
Yeah, I think so.
It
and
might
a no
have
trade clause, and a no trade clause.
Listen, I'm giving TJ Watt whatever he wants. I want him to remain a Steeler for the rest of his life and just end his career here in Pittsburgh.
Well,
you don't let him leave. You don't let him walk out.
I am on this, and I am on the agreement with you guys about that. But at the same point, would it be so bad if they traded him? Because the Steelers organization has wasted him over the last few years by not getting him to the Super Bowl or even winning a playoff out loud.
I'll agree. Him and Cam both. I will agree with that sentiment. Like, if you're not going to try and win a Super Bowl and he wants to go somewhere, then yeah. Right. But, and people can call me crazy, whatever. Yeah, he had a bad end of the year last year. I don't let TJ Watt leave the fucking building for anything less than 2 firsts. Period. End of fucking story.
I agree with you. And
but let's say the Steelers finally did sign him to a contract for 41 million or whatever. Oh, no, not even that. Let's just say some team came to you now and offered you 2 first-round picks for TJ Watt. Would you trade him?
Right now?
Right now, before you sign him.
Depends on what teams and what positions where they draft in the draft.
Let's say,
you better have a top 20 pick for him.
Okay.
I would at least be respectful enough to him to ask him, hey, this so-and-so wants to give us 2 firsts for you. Are you willing to go there and sign? And if he says yes, because he's only going to say yes to that if it's a contender, I would think anyway.
I think the teams that are offering the first round picks would have to be between 15 and 30 because those are the Super Bowl contenders. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. I would say yeah.
Because if you're between 1 and 15, obviously you're not truly a contender unless you need just that 1, 2, or 3 pieces. But if you're 15 through 30, you're at least a contender. So if you have one of those teams call you up and say, we'll give you 2 first-round picks for TJ Watt. And then to D's point, okay, I get it. Go to TJ, say, TJ,
Well, you owe that to him. You
Sure,
owe that to him.
sure.
And
Yeah.
you don't think in this negotiation when he goes and gets his contract, he's going to ask them, "What is our plan here? Are we setting this up to win Super Bowls?" Because you know he's got in the back of his head, "I'm tired of losing in the first round and going home." We got two.
Do you don't think you don't think he doesn't feel like that right now?
I
After
mean,
these last how much is it, like
Chipper,
10 years?
Chipper, he probably does. But on this contract talk, I guarantee him and his agent are going to be asking him, what is the plan for the future? Because if we're not going to win here, then I'd like to move. I really would. But as TJ Watt, I mean, he doesn't owe the Steelers organization anything because
hell no, he doesn't.
He's giving
we owe him.
Yeah, we owe him. The ball is in his court. And I mean,
well, it's the same situation as the Myles Garrett. Hey,
correct.
Guys, what are you going to do for me? I either want to be traded or I'm going to hold out or whatever, however the situation works. Same thing with TJ. Guys, we haven't done shit and we've won one playoff game in 10 years. Looking at the roster and situation now, it doesn't look like we're going to do anything for at least another 2 or 3 years. What the hell are you guys going to do? Why should I stick around?
I mean, I don't disagree with you, Chipper, but that's a conversation that him and his agent are going to have, especially if it's either being traded or the negotiations with his contract. He's going to ask them questions, and that's going to be a question that they have to answer. Hey, you know, we're trying our best to put a good product on the field. I mean, drafting a quarterback, obviously they haven't done that, or they haven't had a good quarterback since Ben left. You tried with Mitch. That didn't work. You drafted Kenny. That didn't work. Then you went from Kenny to Mason. That didn't work. Then you went from Mason.
No, it worked.
Yeah, you played it.
It worked until the playoffs, but that wasn't really Mason's fault.
Okay.
He had a shitty first half, but then the second half he played his ass off.
Oh, okay. I'll agree with you. It worked temporarily for a 3-game
but he didn't look like he was going to be the franchise guy without a doubt.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
But then you basically shit on him, made him the third-string quarterback. Yep. You know, you let him go, you let him walk. The writing was on the wall. You were going to let him walk anyway at the end of the season. You got him back for a reason. He knows the organization. He's a consummate pro. He never once ever came out and said that he didn't like the Steelers organization. Nope. He tucked his tail between his legs and he walked away, went to Tennessee, had a decent season there, tried to, you know, win the starting job. Didn't. He started a couple of games for them. Mason was the consummate pro the whole time. Now you got Mason. Then this past year, you got Allen, you got Fields, you got Wilson. You thought that them were the saviors. I mean, was Justin the savior? We'll never know because he never got the proper.
He got screwed.
He never got the proper opportunity. Never got it. So we don't know. Now again, we're looking at this quarterback situation. As of right now, your two quarterbacks on your roster right now are Mason Rudolph, who is, I would say, penciled in as the starter right now over Skylar Thompson.
And I'm really rooting for Mason. Because of the way they treated him the first time round. He left for the year. And like we mentioned earlier, his last season here, the last 3 or 4 games of the season, and then that second half of the playoff game, he actually played really good. So he's
got really good rapport with George Pickens.
Yes.
I'm actually rooting for him.
And Mason checks all the boxes. You know, he's good friends with Pat Fryermuth. He's good friends with Jalen Warren. Again, he's got good camaraderie with Pickens. I mean, he's a serviceable quarterback if you need him for one year or a year and a half for a rookie quarterback that's going to be behind him. I do think, and I mentioned this to D's, if we get Rodgers, I do think he's the perfect backup for Aaron Rodgers.
Let's go further down the "this is never going to happen" rabbit hole and say that a team in that 15 to 30 range offers you 2 firsts for TJ, and TJ, okay, yeah, I'd like to do that. So you get those 2 firsts. You don't touch a quarterback in this draft.
No.
Until later, you know, maybe a Will Howard or a McCord or somebody down the line, because then what you do is you fucking give the keys to Mason. You do everything in your power to sign George, because now you have that not TJ money.
Right.
Try and sign George again. Could be out of our hands, but then next year you've got your own first, you've got the other team's first, and you have a whole bunch of thirds and fourths, and you could throw a nice little package together and move up as high as you want to go and get yourself a Manning.
I heard he may not even come out after next season, after this coming season.
If if the Mannings have their way, he's not leaving until he graduates. They've said that from day one. Now, whether or not that becomes the case, we don't know. With injury and everything, you could potentially leave a lot of money on the table, but NIL kind of counterbalances that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he does, because the Mannings, they have made this plan to where he's going to play through his entire collegiate career.
Yeah,
whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But
that whole storyline with him just kills me. He barely played last year for Texas, and already people are projecting him to be the number one quarterback for next year. It's like,
did you see him when he did play for Texas though?
Actually, no, I did not.
He's him. I'm just, as long as he's healthy, Arch Manning is fucking him.
Okay.
Like, I think the only reason that Ewers remained the starter was because of respect and what Ewers went through with that program. So, and it's not like he was a bad quarterback, but they knew that, he could still win a lot of games for Texas, and they still have Arch. Arch is him.
Okay.
Geez, I'm going to leave this question up here for you to answer this. What Donnie says.
Does he have 1 year left on contract? Does he have to play, or does he sit out play? Who's this? TJ?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left. He could hold out and say, I'm not going to play, but that year doesn't go away. Like, you can't just, if you have a year on your contract, you can't just say, well, I'm not playing this year, I'm a free agent next year. He has to report by week 10 and finish the season to get that year accrued on the contract. So no, you can't just sit out. This is what happened with Le'Veon Bell. Well, he sat out for as long as he possibly could, but then he finally came in and he sucked, but they let him go.
This is why players like a TJ or whatever will show up for OTAs and training camp, but will do the hold in thing.
Yeah, they're there, but they ain't doing shit.
Yep.
Yeah,
because they don't want to affect their contract. They may make sure they get paid for that year, so on and so forth.
Which that only started happening these last 3 or 4 years. It used to be they just didn't show up at all.
Yep. So,
and there's been a few cases, but not many, where a guy has waited up until that week 10. Usually somebody cracks one way or another. I don't see that happening with TJ. I don't think he would do that to himself or the organization.
Yeah, he did. Wasn't it him that did it last year?
Yeah,
did the hold in?
No, not last year. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay, 2 years ago. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, guys, we got about 2 minutes left to go on the show because we got unscripted coming up next from 11:30 to 1:30. D's, real quick. What is your if you're giving Aaron Rodgers a deadline, what would you like to see announced this week, or are you waiting to the draft?
I like the deadline they gave him, April 21st. Like, they said, and it was described as a soft deadline. But if I'm Pittsburgh, look, I have to have an answer, because we have to decide what we're going to do. And again, while I am 100% in favor of having Aaron on this team, it definitely doesn't look good on his side. And all he's doing is turning more and more fans against him. And it's going to get real fucking loud if Aaron does come here and falters early. Then the city's going to turn on him more so than they already have. So I think for his own good and the team's good, they need to get this done one way or another before the draft.
I agree 100%. Chipper, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I mean, what? I'm surprised my trade thing took as short as it did, but yeah, I'm good. And I've got the draft coming up in 2 weeks. So yeah.
Let Aaron wear number 12.
Oh God, never happened. How about 0? How about 0?
Yeah, you missed that part too last week. I mean, people already hate him. Fuck it, give him number 12.
Get him 8 because Chipper got me a Pickett jersey. I can
there you go.
Rodgers on the back.
There you go.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett losing his job to a fossil is going to be comedy gold.
D's, when we cut off here, can you hold on for like 2 minutes to discuss something off air?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. We will see you guys next week right here on Steel City Renegades. For D's, for Chipper, we are out, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Make sure you guys stick around. Unscripted following from 11:30 to 1:30 today. Go Steeler Nation.